Turn the water on when using the bathroom. If the toilets are close enough to the service desk that people hear unpleasant sounds, there needs to be better soundproofing to solve the problem for everyone. Go to HR and ask why it is acceptable for someone to complain about someone peeing and farting in the bathroom. See if they have a policy about frivolous complaints. It would be different if you were farting each time you went by the person's desk, but this doesn't seem to be the case. Let her explain to them how she was uncomfortable by someone doing a normal work and life appropriate bodily function. It's wild for a grown adult to be upset about bathroom sounds coming from a bathroom. Frankly, you shouldn't have to appease her by wasting water by turning on the faucet when you have to pee. She's presumably a grown-up, correct? Till that under New York City, on the lower concourse of Grand Central Station, there's a windowless, 440-seat oyster and seafood bar that has been serving customers since the terminal's opening in 1913. Except for brief closures for a fire in 1997 and COVID-19, it has operated continuously. It's noisy but decent. More expensive than it's worth overall, but a big reason to stop by is that it's employee-owned. You kidding me? NYC is so cool in certain ways. I stumbled across a food hall in Brooklyn that was an underground food court with like 30 restaurants, seating and music playing. If it didn't cost $20 an hour and $30 after midnight to live there, I'd consider moving. Till Mavs GM Nico Harrison, while working at Nike in 2013, botched the presentation to Steph Curry, where he called him Seth, and the presentation he used was made for Kevin Durant. This, along with not offering Curry a signature shoe, caused Curry to switch from Nike and sign with Under Armour. This checks out. He also used a trade package made for Kyrie Irving and just put Luka in it instead. MF looked at Jerry Jones and said he could do much worse. Pew Research: nearly half us adults say dating has gotten harder in last 10 years. What are your thoughts on current dating scene? 80 to 90% of my friends who graduated college with a partner married that person. 10 years later, virtually none of the people who did not graduate college in a relationship are married, and exactly 0 people in my network at 33 have a child if they did not start a relationship with their partner before 24. That's a pretty wild/disturbing thing. A combination of people relying too much on apps, or even entirely on them, and entertainment at home alone has become a lot more fun than ever before. Till that sea otters have a loose pouch under their armpits where they store their favorite rocks for cracking open shellfish. Some otters use the same rock for years, keeping it safe like a prized tool. Otters at the Oregon Coast Aquarium bashed a hole in the viewing window with their rocks and drained the exhibit. Staff figured out hard plastic rocks that would allow them to crack open shellfish and not be able to break the windows. Like a prized tool. What's the biggest "nah, I'm out" moment you've had on a date? She showed me 2 pictures of exes and asked where I would rank myself with them. It was our 4th date. She brought up the exes conversation: how many relationships have you been in, why didn't they work out, etc. Without skipping a beat, she told me she'd probably still be with her last partner, but he left because she lied about taking birth control. He said he was a bartender. We went to his apartment. He said he'd make me a drink. Then he put my drink in a different style glass than his. I asked to add something to it. I took a single sip, noticed he was watching me very intensely. I told him, "Try this, it's so good." He didn't swallow. I left. She drove through a red light going 50 miles per hour and totaled 2 cars. Almost killed me. What has greatly boosted your mental health? Walking. I go for hikes whenever I can. Sitting by a lake or the top of a hill and just taking a deep breath of fresh air, away from all the cities. Puts everything I'm going through into perspective. Not comparing myself to anyone else, daily meditation, and proper nutrition, smiley face, walking and the gym. The boomers were right, going outside does help. Till that Andrew Carnegie funded an organization to simplify spelling in the English language. Teddy Roosevelt began using the reformed spelling in his official communications and tried to get the federal government to follow suit, but Congress unanimously voted to stop him. That must have been tough for Teddy to go through. The Korean Hangul alphabet went through a similar fight, and eventually won out. It was a phonetic alternative to the 1000s of Chinese characters, which no one could learn without access to a formal education. Hangul removed a major barrier to literacy for the working class. Naturally, the ruling class at the time fought tooth and nail against it. the reform had some really odd choices. Drop the misleading silent E in words like are, give, have. Sounds like it would make sense phonetically. Replace the seed suffix with seed. Why suddenly make the language less phonetic by adding an extra silent syllable? Till that Gates of the Arctic in Alaska is the northernmost national park in the US, it's 3 times the size of Yellowstone but sees fewer visitors in a year than Yellowstone gets in a single day. Yes, that'll probably be the case when you need to take a bush plane to get to its entrance. I've been there. It's probably less visited because we had to take a bush plane, then get driven in. Not exactly as easy as Yellowstone. Till that when Winona Ryder was offered the role of Joyce Byers, she agreed on the condition that she would be allowed time off to film a sequel to Beetlejuice if it began filming while Stranger Things was still in production. Imagine believing in Beetlejuice 2 so much that you make sure your Stranger Things bosses promise to let you leave if it ever happens. Winona Ryder is a legend. Random fact, there was a time when it was difficult for her to get work, not because people didn't enjoy her acting, but because they couldn't get insurance on the films. Woody Allen in 2004 wanted to cast her alongside Robert Downey Jr. in a movie, but due to both of their pasts with drugs and shoplifting, the Bond companies would not insure them because they were considered too risky. What's something considered to be dumb but actually is a sign of intelligence? Changing your mind when presented with new, legitimate evidence showing your current stance is incorrect in some manner. Too many people seem to think changing your mind for any reason, much less a considered one, is dumb or weak-minded. Really, re-evaluating what you think and believe based on new information is the smartest thing a person can do. I don't know enough about that to have an opinion. Asking questions to help clarify things you don't understand. Admitting when you don't know something instead of trying to blag it. Using words that are easy to understand or dumb so the other person understands you when you explain something. What's a kid food you secretly, or not so secretly, still enjoy as an adult? Is a PB&J sandwich considered kid food? 'Cause sometime it just hits the spot. Last kid's birthday I attended I drank a dozen Capri Suns. Ice cold in 105 sun. Perfect. I still love chocolate milk. I'll chug those baby applesauce packets, I don't even give a damn. What job pays surprisingly low for what they do? There's a saying here in Germany, don't know, if it can be translated literally the more social the job, the more antisocial the salary. I'm a paramedic and it's wild how little we make. People assume we're rolling in cash because, you know, saving lives and all. Truth is, I make about $16 an hour to literally restart someone's heart at 3 a.m. in sketchy situations. Anyone who does something useful for the community. It's just not the UK's priority. Scientific researchers. You need to get your priorities straight. Now. One of the things that was hardest to do when I retired from the Navy was learning that I didn't have to ask permission to do things. I just had to say my wife is in the hospital. I am leaving. I will keep you posted. OMG F that Karen. Good on you. Hope the wife is okay. She is lucky you didn't auto-react to her poke and smack her hand, or head. If I am aggressively prodded like that, I immediately stop them from doing that again. First, stop the threat, then assess the situation, then move on as appropriate. Like and subscribe.